Jawaballs!
Hey friends, how are you? Welcome back to Jawaballs. When I first made that soundbite, God, years and years ago, I must have recorded that about 50 times before I finally came up with the one I liked the most. So anyway, here I am. And forgive the mess, I'm going to kind of clean up in a second. I wanted to work on some of my models here and do some recording so I can post another video for you. So here we go. So I'm going to be working on my death company today, and I'm going to kind of simultaneously work on my sanguinary high priest with a jump pack. Here he is. Let me move everybody out of the way. Zoom in a bit. Alright, so here's my sanguinary high priest with a jump pack. I used my Lamart model. When I first, years ago, when I painted my first real Blood Angels army, I made sanguinary priests, and I used for one of them I used a Lamart model for the figure, and I really like this model because of the pose. It just looks really cool, and the you know, the finished priest was amazing. He was one of the centerpieces of that army, and I sold the whole army recently trying to pay off lawyers. Hold on, let me focus for a second. I have to cut a little bit off. So that brings me to, anyway, I want to redo the guy. God, I'm distracting myself. So I got Lamar's, but then also there's the beautiful new Primaris Apothecary. The kit is full of great bits, and so I used some of those bits. First of all, the whole left arm with this gun, or this injector gun. It's amazing. And also, though, the best parts, you know, there's, like, normally I would have had to get, like, the old Space Marine Apothecary and cut them all up and to put the pieces on. But here, the pieces come all separate and easy to apply. So I got the little vials here, if you can see, with the injector. This sword is from, I think, a veteran assault squad. This is the Heaven's Teeth, I think it's called, the relic sword from the Codex. So I used a really special big one for that. But also here's the awesome bits from the kit. There's these cool, like, this thing is like an injector with a drill. There's this nice little the purity seals. I think those are grenades. I'm not sure what they are. And then there's this other arm with the light. It's just really wonderful. So I put them on the jump pack. What a great set of bits for making a sanguinary priest. Here he is. I was gonna get him primed today, but I forgot yesterday to put on the cup, because sanguinary priest, you know, they carry that cup. So I got these from maxmini.eu. I'm sure there's other ones by now. I bought these years and years ago to make my priest with, and you know, it's just a little chalice, a little blood chalice, and you know, they fit nicely on, like, the belt and whatever else. So that's all I'm gonna do right now is get the chalice cut off this little sprue here and glued on. My Gorilla Glue was kind of suspect here. It's supposed to be a gel glue, and it was kind of oozing out really fast and making a terrible mess. And I didn't like that. But I don't think I have... Let me, hold on. Stand by. I have another one over there. I have another bottle of it. Maybe this one will be a little bit more gel-like. Let's see. So I want to get that in there. Let's see. Right up on the belt. Ooh, yeah, that's the gel I like. Just a touch. And then I'm going to lay the cup in there. Right in tight. Oh. Oh no. Let's see if I'll squeeze it in this way. Sorry if I'm... Well, let me zoom out a bit so you can see what I'm doing better. Trying to get that guy in there, it's tough. Oh, there we go. Hold on. Alright. Now I'm going to need a little bit more glue because it all came off. Boop. With the glue. Well, now that just looks silly. Hold on. Well, whatever, it's there. There it is. Not exactly the way I would have preferred it. I don't want to mess too much with the sword because I had to finagle that sword together. What if I kind of try to slide it? There, that's better. That's a better. See? Got it. Oh, I was totally off camera. There we go. I gotta remember that this is where I have to work. Okay, so, yeah, now it's good. You see it in there. Alright. Now I'm going to just let that kind of dry. Put him off to the side. And I'll get him primed up in a little while, about an hour when that glue dries. And then I can work on him. I'm going to airbrush him, the base reds, and then detail with a brush everything else. You know what I will do is I will, let me swap out my blade here. Where's my blades? Here's some fresh blades. Oh, God, that almost just flew right at me. Oh. Imagine that. That would be a fun trip to the ER with a bunch of X-Acto blades embedded in my face. Oh, God. This thing is death. Alright. I don't mess with dull blades. I just get rid of them, replace them, swap in fresh ones. What was I about to cut? Oh, yeah, I had noticed some little things, little spots on my priest here. This is a resin model. Fine crap. And there's little bits of resin that need to get kind of cut out. Not many, I got most of them already, but here we go. Let's scan him. Nice sharp blade. All right. Okay. Oh. Check the sword. If you're painting for competition level painting, you really need to check for every last little nub and evac them immediately with extreme prejudice. Okay, good. You dry now. All right. Let me put the cap on the glue. All right. Where's my coffee? Okay, so what's next? Let's do some Death Company. So, here's my Death Company. I have a squad of 10. And they're all in various degrees of finish. I'm trying to do, you know, batch colors at a time. So, this batch coloring right now is I'm doing blood red. Some of them have it. You know, you can see some of the blood red first wave of highlights that I'm doing. And then I'm going to do a blood red highlight, then I'm going to do a wash, then another blood red highlight. That's the plan. So let me get on that. I've got my, let me zoom out so you can see what I got. This really nice wet palette. It's called the Everlasting Wet Palette. And where's my red? Oh, is that red or brown? What do you think? Is that red or brown? I think that's brown. God damn it. I am red-green color deficient. And so normally I label my bottles, you know, like this one. You know, I write the name of the color, and I poured this into a pot, and I didn't label the color. And this is like, this one's corn red. If I don't label them, then I don't know what color they are. This is brown, I'm pretty sure. But I'm gonna go ahead and try something different here. This is the color I'm looking for anyway. This is Coat d'Arms Blood Red. Let's see. Palette needs a little bit more water. I'm going to pour some of this onto the palette. Nice and fresh, pure Coat d'Arms. And then I got to kind of refresh the wetness of the palette here. It's been a while since I worked on it. When I do this, I just kind of pour the water in until the water level matches the level of the sponge. We'll let the sponge absorb. All right. Oh, there it goes. It sucked it all up. More water. And it's still sucking? No, it stopped. Okay. That's enough. All right. Let's see. Where's my brush? So I have a couple of brushes that I use. I've got a... Well, that's not one of my brushes. Well, that is one. This is I use for a wash. It's a Reaper Pro Paint Finest Sable #2 with a big brush tip. I use for washing. Then I've got a couple of Winsor Newtons here. I've got a Winsor Newton Series 7 #1 and a 00. 00 being super fine. So Winsor Newton Series 7 are pretty much the best brush that you can use. If you're new to my channel, if you are just coming across me for the first time, I came back onto I started painting on YouTube, God, back in like '06, and kind of fell away several years ago because of life. Life happened, and over time, I've been kind of feeling the urge, and now I'm back. So let me put that up to the side. So what I do is I do tutorials and painting. You know, I used to sell DVDs, and my whole point being that as an art teacher, as someone that had to figure this out on his own, versus all those super talented artists who have no real idea to explain and they don't know the struggles that the normal people go through. That's the angle I take on my painting and my tutorials. So, yeah. If you like what you see, come on back for more. Hit the buttons. They help me by messing with the algorithm, like Reddit just did to the GameStop. And here we go. I'm going to zoom in a bit for you. You know, let me bring this closer. My desk is a mess. That way I don't have to lean so far in. Ooh, yeah, that's good. Okay. So the point behind the wet palette is Basically, it helps to water down your paint, break the surface tension a bit, lets it spread more easy. And you know, you should kind of break down your paint a little before you use it. What's going on there? See now? I don't like all these studs that they put everywhere on these models. They just make it really hard to paint. I don't think they really add much aesthetically to the model, but they make it difficult to paint the details because the studs kind of interfere. Put on my painting glasses. I have a separate pair of glasses that are just my close-up prescription, so I don't have to deal with the separate lens. So when I do this, I start out from the outside edge and I drag it down into the center of the X, letting most of the bright red stay on the outside so that it fades into the middle. Then when I apply the wash, it'll help like accentuate that fade. And then when I go back in and do the final highlight, it'll sell it. There we go. I had to get a little more water in my paint. I'm seeing a little better today. It's funny when you get old, things start to go. When I painted them before, when I put the Mephiston red coat down, I missed parts of the detail that now I can see better for some reason. Those studs, they just get in the way. So I just kind of push and pull. What I do is I kind of draw with the paint. I use the paintbrush as a pencil. When you see me dabbing, I'm not dabbing paint. I'm not painting. I'm pushing the paint. I'm dragging it and kind of forcing my will onto the paint. Kind of messy. I'm not very pleased with it. But again, these really aren't intended to be a golden demon quality anyway. Okay, so that cross on his forehead is kind of a challenge. It's so small. The secret, as always, is use the least amount of paint you can get on your brush. Watch how I hold my brush, or hold the model. See how I've got him securely held by 3 fingers. 1 finger rests on the table to secure the model. Then when I come in with my brush hand, I'll use my right pinky on my brush hand on the base, and that gives me a firm tripod. And then I use my fingers that are holding the brush to control it. Yeah, let me get one more good little blast on that center of that cross. I hope you can see that well. That was pretty good. I don't have any real defined pattern as to where I paint these highlights. I just try to be consistent within the model itself, or like the individual part. This particular, off cam. This particular one here, with the angel wings and the blood drop with the X behind them, I paint kind of a V here, like on this one exact spot. I just paint like a triangular V in the corner there. I'm not going to sweat too much all the details that are kind of obscured by the rest of the model. Right there, I just touched the paint onto the blood drop. Okay. Now when I did the base coating, I applied a pretty bad finish to the cross belt, the jump pack belt. So I'm going to clean that up a little with some highlights. And again, I'm just kind of touching the paint onto the surface here, letting the edges kind of grab it. Now I'm letting it stay on kind of thick. It's okay. Can you see what I'm doing? Kind of blocked, but I'm just letting the upper corners here, upper meaning the ones closer to his head versus his feet, kind of just grab the paint and letting it kind of go where it will. I'm not going to bother, well, maybe a little, with the underside here, the straps. Searching for more red. I'm not going to get crazy with all the blood drops. Just a little bit here and there. On the purity seals, a little red. I'm going to call it north. North being the top of the model. I focus heavily on the north side because when you're looking at models, what do you see? The north side. This is the north end. Top down. That's what you see. So I don't worry so much about everything down below on the south side, because they're not really what's being looked at when you're gaming. But also though, like if you look at the artwork in like the codex, for example, I think maybe it was an edition or two ago, the artwork for the Blood Angel, it was an assault marine. And when you look closely, the only real red on that artwork was from the top, the north side, the top of the model. Like the top of the arms, the top of like the knee, and the top of the foot. The underside was black, or a super, super dark red. That picture is kind of what got me going with my whole style now of painting red. And once you wrap your head around that, it really helps to realize that when you look at something, it's not red. There's red, but there's also black, brown, purple. Tons and tons of colors that you're seeing for real. And when you pick up on that, then you start to recreate it. Then your painting will come to life. Okay, and I'm not worrying about the thunder hammer right now. I'm pretty happy with what I got here. Let me. Okay, there's one down. Boop. Whole pile to go. Oh, the gun and the chainsword. It's a lot of red here. All right, well, let's just get cracking. So I start from the end and I drag it down. On the edge here, letting the edge grab the paint. Whoop. Flip it over. I'll do the leading edge. Carefully. These are a repaint. I had painted them once already. Terribly so. Didn't like what I did. So I primed them again so I can paint them again. So they're a little messy. Don't really care all that much for them. So the value here of the wet palette is it keeps my paint nice and wet so that it's blendable. I can shade with it on the model, kind of like a wet blending. See what I just did there? I clumped the paint onto the tip, dragged it down, then I dragged it back up to the tip again. Look how it leaves a highlight on the edge. Can you see that highlight there? Right here. There to see it. I'm not going to bother with the underside. I'll come back to that chainsword in a second, and once that's had a chance to dry. I'm a brush licker. I do lick my brush. So look at what's going on here with my wet palette. Here's where I'm working. Here's the initial spot of the paint. I've been dragging it down towards the water here. And you know, the more I drag it, the thinner my little stream gets, and the more watery and blended it gets. Down here, you can see it's very translucent to the opaqueness up here. So then now I have various degrees of watered down paint. Over here, it's like a wash almost. Then as it gets further up here, there's less and less water. Come on, focus. Focus on the model. There we go. Focus. All right. So you can just see me kind of move it around. It's very, very wet. So I'm just kind of pushing it off to the edges and letting it pool up there. I'm working it around. Nice. Yeah, I see it, right? So what's going to really sell this illusion I'm creating with this red is when I go back and do the gray, I'll use some heavy washes and really push the transition from light to dark on the gray. And that's going to push, again, the highlights out for the red. See how I just kind of drop it on, then drag it? There you go, see? Should probably have done the shoulder pads first, because I'm going to be touching. I didn't even paint that base coat on that one. These models are just covered in purity seals and details. Again, here's that same shoulder pad as the last one. Here's that V. When I do the drops, I usually just get a good amount of paint on the tip of the brush, and I start from the bottom, the wide part, and just drag it up a little bit. Almost like a pencil here. Just dragging it across the edges. You see it? Here I am on the south side. Don't really care much. Not going to put too much color there. Just a couple of touches. Here I go now. Further accentuating the leading edge there of the gun. Let me go back to that Chainsword as promised and drag some more red down the edges. I want the tip of it to be much more red. Ooh. So pretty much every time I apply another layer, I finish at the tip. That's where the most of the red will clump up. There you go, see? Now when I go in and I put a wash, you'll see it really push. I could probably do that for you right now. Let me do that. Let me wash my brush. Put a little bit of wash in my palette. Okay. Now watch. Now starting from the opposite end with the wash, kind of painting it in the same way and dragging it up though. Whenever you stop with the wash, it'll leave a little dab of color. Now what I'm going to do is wipe it off, lick it, then kind of push and pull it. You don't want to wash on the edge. You want to wash kind of more in the center of the plane that you're trying to paint, in this case, the blade. Now there's this weird, like it's not collecting where I want it to. Why is that happening? I don't have enough on it. Let me see. Ooh, now I got some wash. Ooh, yeah. See that? I got plenty on there now. Now I'm going to go up to the tip and leave a little bit around the gear. That's going to push that gear forward in space. All right, you get the point there, huh? Okay, let's come back to washing later. Gotta stay on one thing at a time, or else I'll never get these done. Yuck, my coffee went cold. Okay. Start low, work your way up. Check them out first. This Chainsword has this ribbon on it. Those are annoying. They look awful. You know, you have to go back in and paint them again, like repaint them with black and then paint them to clean them up. They take forever. Honestly, there's just too much detail on these models. Trying to work south up so that I'm not touching the north end while I then paint the south. Think of it as painting where the light is going to be hitting. You know that the light will be hitting the top parts. So that's where you want the brightest color. These blood drops just kind of grab the paint and the paint settles in between them. Don't like that. You know, so instead of the paint settling on the blood drops, it runs down when it's heavily watered like this, and it fills in the recessed areas between them, which actually then creates a highlight at the bottom of the blood drop, which breaks the illusion. So you gotta get it out of there. You don't want it on in the middle of the blood or between. I'll come back and fix it up a bit with the wash. A little bit thicker paint here just to grab those blood drops. The ribbon on the sword will do the same thing. You know what? I just made the decision that I'm going to go with just black on all the chainswords that have that ribbon, because they're such a pain in the butt to paint that it's not worth it. It's not worth the effort. Because really, it's going to take me forever just to get those darn ribbons painted. So I'm going to paint the whole sword black, then just give it a light highlight. Yeah, my red has bled everywhere. It's picked up a lot of water, and now it's all starting to get washed out, which is fine. With these heavily detailed models, they take a long time to paint to a competitive level, because when the judges are looking at them, you know, if they see any of these little details unpainted, they'll knock you. So what I'll do, because of all these details, is I'll get black, and I'll come back in with some nice black, and I'll do a little fine, oh, I'm off, a fine black line in between everything. Let's do that right now. I'll show you, since I'm going to paint the Chainsword black anyway. Can't see. Where's my black? There it is. So, here's what I mean, right? So I want to create an almost cartoony look. So I'll drag a black line down those little grooves, and what this does is it kind of cleans up the painting, and it helps the details to kind of stand out. Do you see that? You see how it makes it pop? This takes patience. Good sharp brush. A fine touch. Hopefully it's staying in focus for you, yeah? So definitely from the extreme north side of this model, you want to make sure it's clean and jumps and it's sharp. Because again, this is what they're looking at first when they're judging. The top down. Ooh, delicate. Might be a little blurry because my hands are throwing off the autofocus. I'm sorry for that. There, you can see that those details are starting to jump now, right? You see it pop. Oop. That was a little too much. Ooh. Can you see it? I hope you can. I hope that's coming out in the camera. You see how now they're really popping? I'll do that on the gun a little bit too. No, I'm not going to mess with the gun yet because the gun's going to... I have to do all the painting of the gray, so... Alright, let's get the sword painted. Oops. Taking the easy way out. Not really. Black in itself is not easy to paint. Not the way I do it. It's going to take several shades of gray. But in the end, it'll make it look way better as far as this ribbon is concerned. Let me. If you would like me to add music to these, let me know in the comment section below. Of course, it has to be royalty free, so I'd have to find some royalty free music. But if it would help you, if you would enjoy a slight little music in the background for when I take long silent pauses, let me know. Also, let me know what you want me to paint next. Down in the comments below. Okay. I don't think I got that shoulder pad. Now here, I'm going to start on this shoulder pad. Let me get the blood drop there. Ooh, yeah. Now I'm going to start with too much paint. See how I wipe it off of my thumb? I'm actually now starting with the north side of the X, and I'm going to fade it down to the edges. There. Real easy. Clean it up with the black. Too much black. Now I wish I could have music playing in the background, but I can't. See how I just made it pop all of a sudden? All right. Okay. Get over there with the rest. 3, 4 more in the squad, and 2 of them have thunder. 3 of them have thunder hammers. Excellent. Excuse me. Okay, here we go. Oh, he's got the X on his head. Start with the south side. I don't worry so much about details that are obscured by other parts of the model, like the remaining knee pad X behind the hose there. It's just not a big deal. It wouldn't be getting much light anyway because of it being blocked. My paint has picked up a lot of water from the wet palette. When you're painting red, honestly, you want to work in layers. Thin translucent layers building up on top of each other will create a way more believable red than trying to paint it all at once. Even the spot where the red is the most pure, it has picked up a lot of water. I'm going to zoom out a little to help with the focus. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to paint kind of more zoomed out for a while, just because I don't have to worry so much about being on camera when I paint details. So I would like to get the squad done at some point. So before you can learn how to draw, or in this case paint, you must first learn how to see. What that means is that once you understand that you don't really see anything, you're not seeing lines or shapes, you're seeing a collection of shadows working together, lights and darks, working together to create the illusion of depth. And once you understand that, the mystery of painting goes away. And you need to be able to see to be able to get that. So when teaching kids how to draw, the first thing I do is I break them of their need to have linear lines that define everything. And then they have to understand that it's all about light and dark, really. So when they're painting or drawing, instead of trying to think, oh, this is an angel feather, I need to make sure it looks like feathers. No. You need to be looking at where the light would be hitting it. So that's going to affect how it plays with everything around it. And then that will help you kind of make decisions about where to apply your paint. And then you become less obsessed with painting all the details, and you can focus again on what really matters, which would be the points at which the light would be glinting off these shapes. He had very little red on him. South side. Stand. Stand and be painted. There's 2 left. I think what I'm going to do is take a small break because my hand's starting to get numb. And I'm going to go and process this video and get it, get it uploaded to YouTube for you. And then I'm also going to go prime my sanguinary priest. Get him ready for some paint. And I'll come back and I'll record working on him, because he is going to be painted to a very, very high degree. Here you can just see me kind of doing what I've been talking about without really talking about it right now. Just kind of pushing and pulling that red up and down the edge. Letting it accumulate more at the end. Just to sell the illusion of depth. When you do multiple brush strokes what actually, it kind of takes the paint away that you just put down, so be careful. You don't want to take away paint that you put down already. Alright, I'm rushing, so I'm going to stop, and I'm going to come back. Alright, more to come. I hope you enjoy this. Please like and subscribe, and let me know what you want me to paint next, okay? More to come.